Hey Lucas. Trying to optimize the thighs here. Trying to make more armors to inspire me to make animations. I want to have cool characters. I think those are too big. Try different colors. Okay, that's the funny thing. Cause like trying to color these things is a real pain in the ass. Cause, let's see here. You have to go into textures. And like you can't just I'm pretty sure you can't just slap on colors, because you have to mess with like their LUT coding. Not too sure what that color is. So that changes that piece. Yeah, doing it's like real finicky. I'm not entirely sure how it works. Like I'll look into it later, but it's real finicky. Like, I'm pretty sure if I try to figure it out, I could. But it's like so particular. Maybe I should try it. Maybe, I don't know. Because the way it works is so particular. But for now, I'm gonna try to optimize them. One thing at a time. Because for the most part, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just messing around in Blender. Maybe more optimization is needed.
It's been over 5 years since Red Dead Redemption 2 reinvigorated renown for the Western.
So it should
To
be
this
fine.
day,
Do you
gamer
guys
folk are
hear
still
what I'm
finding
listening to?
fascinating features within the game, be it the many Easter eggs scattered around the map or the meanings behind Red Dead's many hidden messages. Channels like Strange Man upload these atmospherically awesome videos explaining the lore and theories behind every detail hidden behind every rock. However, I believe we've reached a point where the number of newfound factoids have utterly diminished, leaving those who love and still play Red Dead 2 to do the only thing left. Analyze the actual game. That is the story, the characters, the themes, the thing which Rockstar actually made. Now, I've seen the thumbnails for a lot of analyses, most notably of Arthur and Dutch, and, well, that's basically it. But I see you, Cynic. You've put in the work.
That's what I like to see.
Though, in truth, I haven't watched too many of any of these kinds of videos because I have my own thoughts, and I hope to reach the conclusions I do without borrowing from other creators. So, if I happen to repeat something another reviewer has said, please know that my intentions are never to steal ideas. If anything, that would just show how on point we all are with our collective understanding. Now, as for this introduction, I plan for this particular analysis to be the first part of an undetermined number of parts video. If analyses like this are what you're into, leave a like and let me know what other media I ought to cover. For now, let's begin the Red Dead Redemption 2 mega-analysis by going over every chapter of the full story in one fell swoop.
It's kind of just
overture
like
kind of
on
overview.
there.
The kind that serves as the backbone
There's
for the
another
meatier
armor I
parts of
made,
the critique to
or I put
fall
together.
into place nice and neat. Though instead of explaining
is
the
a
meaning of
Kuroi.
what happens in every chapter,
pretty
I'm
cool.
instead electing to analyze the places where the gang sleeps during those chapters.
And then these
I am,
are
of course,
the rig.
talking about
The
the
rig
camps.
animation balls. It's like
Is it
motion capture,
possible
kind of.
that these temporary homes have foundationally fixed narrative depth? Well, let's be thematic prospectors together, shall we, as we dig deeper into Red Dead Redemption 2 by first exploring the meaning of the abandoned town of Coulter. After escaping the law in Blackwater, the Vanderlyn gang find themselves trapped in a terrible snowstorm. With Arthur Morgan, among others, having scouted ahead, he reports to say that he found some shelter.
All that cool
But
stuff.
what kind of shelter?
An old mining town. Abandoned. It ain't far.
Thankfully, there's enough room for everyone. There's a main hall, a cabin of bunk beds, a barn for the horses, and a large cabin with multiple bedrooms. Already, there's so much to discuss here. First of all, the name. Coulter is likely named after John Coulter, a member of the Lewis and Clark expedition. His efforts in exploration include discovering passes through the Rocky Mountains that wagons can cross, as well as traversing the area now known as Yellowstone Park. Coulter is perhaps less prominent than Lewis or Clark, but no doubt he's still an important American pioneer. Such a name reflects the nature of these past adventures. That's the key word there. Past. The pioneers played a critical role in settling the West, but just as the opening of the game suggests,
Those days are over.
the matter is settled. There's nothing left to discover. There's nothing left to mine. As in, there are no more tangible resources to retrieve in this retrograde way of life. It's neither feasible nor viable to continue living in this particular town for its particular purpose. There's not even a functional church anymore, so the faithful will have to go elsewhere, lest they stay and suffer the consequences, given that the chapel's foundation is gone and has no protection against the outside world. This is where the game begins, and it's exactly, allegorically, where the gang ends up. Their way of life is already over. There is no viability and no future in this small nation of nomadic outlaws. The game was rigged from the start. Davey was dead to begin with. And what happens in Blackwater stays with us for the entire
Should
game.
be
And that's
fine.
just foreshadowing the story. There's also the whole issue of the camp's sleeping arrangements to consider. But look who's given priority here. Dutch, his lover Molly, Hosea, his persevering partner, and Arthur, my boy.
My
They
boy.
all inhabit the biggest and coziest cabin in the camp. There's 2 bedrooms, a fireplace, counter space. There's even an extra cot that I'm assuming is for Hosea, even though he sleeps on the ground in later camps, so I
Oh
guess
my
it's generous of Dutch in
goodness.
this moment, but
Go to bed.
oh boy, there's so much room for more than 4 people, but Dutch's closest family gets the most special treatment. They could have fit a few more souls in here, but the rest of the less important bodies had to be put elsewhere. The boys get the bunk beds, that is, the boys who can fight, and the rest of them, you know, what Micah calls
Too many mouths to feed.
the ones who cannot make real money for the gang, are assigned to the hall. Even John, even you, has his own tent in later camps, but he's assigned to the hall at this time at the back of the room. Of course, John's injuries are the reason this bed arrangement makes sense, practically, but it also adds to the idea that subtly, in Dutch's mind, if you're not useful to him, then you're just extra. Not additional, but extra. That is, more of something that's not a real part of the main thing. Never forget how Dutch behaves in the very first mission.
Get indoors, son.
Okay, I can't really
You're strong.
tell what I'm
He is
looking at.
already compromised.
There's
the
this
gang is
gap
doomed
here, but I think that gap's
from
on
the
the other
very
armor
beginning.
too, so
As the
doesn't
first camp in the
actually
game, Coulter
matter.
quietly tells us every secret of the gang's outcome. There is no future here, no morality, and no life. There is only death.
If we don't stop soon, we'll all be dying.
Ain't that the truth? Once the snow had eased up post yet another robbery, the Dutch Vanderlyn gang made their way down the mountain through the rivers and trees to find a new home. Hosea, being familiar with the region, recommends to settle down at a place called Horseshoe Overlook.
You weren't wrong, Hosea. This place is perfect.
I hope so.
The site has plenty of space, mostly decent weather, and it's secluded enough to keep the gang distant from an onlooking society and the ever-persistent law. It's truly a fresh start. For most players, Horseshoe Overlook is where the game really begins. If the previous chapter served as the tutorial segment, this chapter serves as the reintroduction portion of the game. Reintroduction since Arthur Morgan, our main player character, has known the people of this gang for months and decades. The player, however, does not. The player is being asked to care about or hate these people just as much as Arthur does. So how does Rockstar encourage that? Simple. By bringing the story to a halt. The bulk of the missions in Chapter 2 are not plot progressing in the slightest. You retrieve Reverend Swanson from a poker game. You go shopping with Uncle and the girls, Marybeth, Karen, Tilly. You have a drink with the boys, Charles, Xavier. Charles, Javier, Bill at the bar. You have a few more drinks with Lenny. That's 7 too many. You spend a weekend going hunting with Hosea, and you go fishing with little Jack. Most of the time in Chapter 2, you're just hanging out. Even the missions that do advance the plot in small ways, like rescuing Sean, untying Kieran, and freeing Micah are, well, what do you know? It's almost as if their whole purpose is to set up / further establish these characters.
Uh-oh, here comes trouble.
Because of these casual qualities, most players regard Horseshoe Overlook as the best camp in the game. With seemingly the best environment, best mood, and best time in the timeline, it's tempting to hold off from furthering the story of Red Dead 2 forever to linger in Chapter 2, pretending that the gang could have actually course-corrected so long as key missions remained untouched. But there's a few key problems with lingering in Chapter 2, the first of which being that the gang is not okay. If you linger, John Marston will remain as a useless husband to Abigail, not to mention a distant father to Jack.
Hey, can I talk to you a minute?
Not again, Abigail. Not ever. Just leave me alone, will you?
You're pathetic. You're a pathetic man, John Marston.
Don't I know it?
If you linger, Reverend
that looks a lot
Swanson will
better,
be
actually.
inebriated at all times, and he never gets sober.
Got enough still in the collection box again, Reverend.
Get your head out of the clouds.
If you linger, Sadie Adler will wallow in perpetual misery as she forever mourns the loss of her husband.
I wish they would have killed me too.
I know.
I wish it every goddamn day.
I know.
Never to become the badass that we all know her to be. Staying in Chapter 2 means you're okay with these people's suffering. They have to move on, but they never will until you move on. But the other reason you ought to move on is because even without a certain collection attempt or without a certain jailbreak, the gang is still doomed. As mentioned previously, Dutch is already compromised. There is no point later in the story that made him turn bastard, because as far as the players know, he always was. The first of the downfall dominoes to fall is the one we never saw, in Blackwater on the boat. Dutch, and by necessity, the gang, is already headed for destruction at this point. There's no amount of money or smoking pipe that's going to reverse this. Which leads me to my next observation. The heists in Chapter 2 don't actually matter. Think about it. None of the heists from Chapter 2 have any impact on the main story. Literally none of them. The main story involves Leviticus Cornwall and the Pinkertons, who independently show up at the end of Chapter 2 due to crimes committed in Chapter 1 and prior. And as soon as they arrive, the fun is over. It's no mystery why Horseshoe Overlook is considered the best camp. You feel like you have a chance at, well, redemption. But redemption doesn't accrue if you keep lingering down the wrong path. Think about it this way. Look at the shape of that horseshoe in question. It's facing west. West is the ultimate goal of the Vanderland gang. West is the untapped paradise where they can live off their spoils and eat fresh mangoes forever.
Farmers.
But if you turn the map to see it from the gang's perspective, the campsite resembles a down-facing horseshoe. The ultimate cowboy symbol of bad luck. Misfortune is all that was to be found at the end of the path of lawlessness and whatever idea of America that Dutch had.
To carve a country for man's desire and not some old world juju. Wasn't that a beautiful fantasia, Arthur? If you say so, Dutch.
The only hope, the only good luck for America is found in the East. In all that civilization.
I know.
The East is from where the light is revealed. The West is where the light disappears. And no matter how fast you ride, you can't keep up with the sun. It will pass over you, and you will be left in the dark. The only thing to do is wait for the next day, and it's much easier to do that when you let the bygone era be gone. Dutch is a man flying too close to the setting sun, a calloused clinger of his own era at an end. While the gang might appear to still have their wings intact in Chapter 2, they're going to melt in no time. And there will be no more scores or wealth to acquire.
This'll end soon.
Damn right it will.
True prosperity comes from accepting what the lines on the wall are saying. True freedom emerges when you allow your world to be tamed. It's time to move on. For the gang's sake, and for yours.
There we go. A little better there. See if we can't do something about this.
So, we moving? Yeah.
Instead of catching a break, the Vanderlyn gang almost get caught themselves, and Arthur is sent with Charles to find a new spot for a camp.
So, we're heading south?
Yeah. Area called Dewberry Creek.
On the way, the two outlaws remark about moving and Dutch's priorities.
And I know by now, there ain't no lying low.
There's too many of us for that.
And there ain't no way Dutch is gonna just hide away in a cave somewhere. Goes against everything he stands for. That'd be admitting we're nothing more than low-down criminals.
Foreshadowing.
The next camp location, however, is in fact not the next camp location, for Dewberry Creek is both far too exposed and on too soft of a ground.
Seems very open.
Yeah, it does. Ain't sure to be the best in the rain, neither.
A mostly dried up river. Is this yet another symbol of the Vanderlyn way of life running out of steam? Possibly. But what's undeniable is the detail that it's Micah's suggestion to settle here.
Micah told me of a place we can lie low. Dewberry Creek, he said.
As if to say it's Micah's recommendations that put the gang's safety at risk, that gets them more exposed. It's Micah that makes shaky their formerly firm foundation. But more on such things when I get to unpacking each individual gang member later. For now, let's see how the two men react to the German caravan that had already been attacked.
Get the hell out of
They
here!
took off Ozza.
Who did?
Men, last night.
Where did they take him?
The trail leads them to another, more idyllic campsite.
This is a better camp spot than back there. Much easier to defend.
Thus, this little corner of Scarlet Meadow becomes the gang's newest place to settle, Clemens Point. It's right on the lake with a dock, one big tree, and hundreds more surrounding the area. There's plenty of fish, weather that negates the need for jackets, and a small town nearby. Pretty much everything the gang could need. I implied before that Horseshoe Overlook is the best camp for pretending things are fine, but Clemens Point is the best camp for enjoying being a part of the gang. Sadie Adler finally wears pants and starts defending the camp. Kieran is still hanging with the horses, but he's been more accepted by the rest of them, especially in the last mission where he's side by side as bold as the rest of them. This is also the time when Kane wanders into camp, adding to the site a greater sense of home and family. That and the amount of activities to do with the family are the most numerous in this chapter. Fishing, robberies, more robberies. When I first played, I remember taking my time, especially here, and while I know what I argued for in the previous chapter, I would like to nuance the position by saying that yes, the game is asking you to take your time, and I would ask for the same thing. Take your time, but allow time to pass. Sit by the fire when asked, bring in another deer, find all the animals for the camp, and stop by when people start talking. For my first playthrough, the dramatic irony of knowing the first game compelled me to explore, to enjoy the scenery and the camp culture more than I probably would have otherwise. It was like, so long as I wasn't advancing the plot, I was keeping the gang together. Missions like the New South reinforce this feeling, as you spend about 10 minutes minimum going fishing with your father figures. There's reminiscence of funny stories, embarrassment, nostalgia, songs, and laughter. And then, the mission ends with the harsh truth.
I think we're gonna be okay.
As tranquil as the times may appear, there's still that deeply nestled worm in Dutch's heart. The ego that will drive others away if it doesn't cut them off first. Despite Sadie coming into her own and Kieran becoming more accepted and even Swanson's hair being combed, there's still other gang members who suffer more here than they did the last camp. Lenny and Tilly, both being black, have to remind Arthur about where they're at and how uniquely dangerous it is for them to be in Deep South small town.
But I haven't necessarily noticed.
All respect, Mr. Morgan. You wouldn't notice. Might call you a lover. They see us riding like this.
What we doing so far south, Arthur? I don't like it.
Seems as good a place as any to get chased by the law, Miss Tilly.
You ain't so dumb as that, Arthur. I'm a Negro.
I know. I'll keep you safe, Miss Tilly.
And then there's Molly.
For the love of God, what's wrong now? You think this is the welcome of your affection? Worse than that, over you. All I can do is worse than that.
Gladly.
So long as Dutch or his tent isn't being used as a mission starting point, the two lovers will perpetually argue the same one of three exchanges every time you load in. Hey Rockstar, was it out of the budget to just add 3 more exchanges? This is so annoying it makes me want to finish the chapter. Unless that was the point. The real point is Clemens Point, a place even further from Blackwater, a soft reminder that despite the peace, things are heating up. Literally.
Of course I'm sweating.
The name of this near-perfect campsite comes from Samuel Clemens, the real name of Mark Twain, and it wouldn't be right to ignore this connection as there are several more connections specific to Chapter 3 from Twain's 2 most iconic novels, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and its sequel, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. For the former, there's this not-so-random encounter at the First Church of Rhodes where the Reverend gives a eulogy for a man whom no one showed up for.
Oh, Father, what do we say about a man who lost his way so awfully? He carried that awful war with him, rustling horses with a misguided gang of killers.
Now, who does that specifically sound like?
It's me!
Tom Sawyer, perhaps best known for painting a fence white, is also famous for showing up to his own funeral. And given the specificity of rustling horses with a band of killers, it's clear that the point of this event is for Arthur to do the same and be eulogized before his very eyes.
Foreshadowing.
In Huckleberry Finn, the adventure goes along the Mississippi River, which the Lannahechee River is based on. And side note, regarding huckleberries, as in the actual fruit, Rhodes is the area where you're first likely to find them. But most notable is that in the book, Huckleberry encounters a pair of feuding, affluent Southern families.
Ah, that reminds me.
No, it gets better. There's also star-crossed lovers between the two families.
Are you serious?
Well, yes, I am.
While the Dutch Vanderlyn gang may have been the plague on both of their houses, the Greys and the Braithwaites aren't just the Montagues and Capulets. They're the Shepherdsons and the Grangerfords. Another adventure for these lawless runaways to engage with. Speaking of whom, that is the final unique connection between the book and the game. Huck Finn and Dutch Vanderlyn. In ideology, Huck Finn is just an underdeveloped version of Dutch. They both harbor a justified hatred of being civilized, to be told what to do and how to be by people who enslave others with their rules and norms. It's the restrictions, the hypocrisy.
Rest a little easier knowing church has been taking more than they need off poor folks since time began.
How could the civilized Christians be so good when they want to capture Jim, someone who only spurs positive thoughts for Finn? Better for Huck to go to hell than to live by the rules of a society with its own corrupted morals.
It's always so damn troublesome doing right, so damn easy doing wrong, that I decided from now on, I'm just gonna do whatever come handiest.
Likewise, it's better in Dutch's mind to live on the run in tents than it is to be crushed by the industrial civilized world.
Ain't no such thing as civilized. It's man. So in love with greed, he has forgotten himself and found only appetites.
After the mountains, Horseshoe Overlook acted as a rest stop, whereas Clemens Point served as a return to form. What the Vanderlyn gang does in Chapter 3 represents what they've been doing for years all around the country. Settle in somewhere secluded, but close to regular people. Avoid the law, do some scores, enjoy life, do some more scores, get caught, run away, repeat. Do this enough times, there won't be a gang left. And that's exactly what happens. As a final note, let us consider how the gang came about this location. Arthur and Charles track the trail of a crew of kidnappers, which leads them to a hostage named Andreas, who turns out to be in the gold mining business.
Those men back there, why did they take you?
Geld. Money. Meiner Familie gehört eine Goldmine. Sie wollen Lösegeld erpressen.
As a Dankeschön for rescuing him, Andreas hands Arthur a gold bar, which, by the way, is the only gold the gang gets from Chapter 3, not from robbing both of these families, but by restoring this one. Note that the men who kidnapped Andreas did so for the same reasons the gang went after the Greys and the Braithwaites. They've got gold. And because of that, the gang is no different than the previous occupants of Clemens Point. Spell to lure all the raiders in one place? Well, things didn't go as planned in town. I hope nothing bad happened back at camp.
Where's my goddamn son? Where is he? Where's my son? They took him, didn't they? They took my son.
Who took him?
We think the Braithwaite woman took him.
Okay, that settles it.
I just want to talk to him.
Dad, this is ridiculous.
I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him. I just want to shoot him.
The end of your dealings with first the Greys and then the Braithwaites leaves you with nothing left to do in Rhodes, so the game decided you needed to be confronted by the agents.
Not a problem. Visitors.
After their persuasion check fails, Arthur and John are tasked with finding a new camp. This time, it's a site that Arthur had already visited and cleared out with Lenny, a defunct plantation called Shady Belle.
Welcome home, all of you, to my humble abode.
Formerly the main base of operations for the Lemoyne Raiders, the rundown manor is still occupied by a few stragglers that John and Arthur have to deal with. But after they do, Dutch orders Pearson and Grimshaw to do their thing.
Would you two kindly work your magic?
Because he has more important things to do, like ignoring Molly.
George?
Yes?
Could I have a word with you?
Not now.
So Dutch and Arthur ride for the city where the kidnapped Jack is being held, and they arrive from the ugliest entrance.
Okay, there she is. A real city. The future.
Big cities. They're
always repellent.
Exactly.
Thus, the title card for Chapter 4 drops, and, Saint Denis. That's not the name of the camp. That's the city. This is both a first and an only, as no other chapter is named after a place you're not camping in. Therefore, this is the framing we must keep in mind when approaching this chapter. It's about a city, and how the gang engages with one. I will of course unpack the symbolism of their camp arrangements in Shady Belle, but it's important to note the angle at which the game introduces this chapter, for the city is the primary focus here. The last three sites acted as acknowledgements. This is where they held up, this is where they rested, this is where they ran off to, but this is what they're dealing with. Saint Denis is not approached as a place of rest, it's approached like a treacherous den of venomous reptiles, the dragon's lair that the heroes must face, smokestacks and all. How will the gang fare against a city? Is the corruption of the East stronger than the corrupted concept of the West? Will everything Dutch has said about civilization be proven true? And even if so, will that guarantee their success? Or will Saint Denis be the test that decides their fate?
My mentor says that America is designed to induce apathy in people.
It's a wonderful insight. He must be a wise man, your mentor.
Well, sometimes he's a downright fool, but usually he's the best man I know.
If the player wants to act sensibly, they should seek to find Jack as soon as possible for hopefully obvious reasons.
If I don't get that boy back safe,
She'll kill us all.
I know.
So after inquiring about the man everyone is too nervous to talk about, we narrow down the location of his mansion. Dutch and his 2 sons make their presence known to find the youngest son, Jack, and they meet the man housing him, Angelo Bronte.
You ask me to show compassion. Have I not shown you almost infinite compassion already by simply allowing you to breathe in my presence?
The tension of the offended introductions surprisingly subsides after Bronte begins to comprehend the sheer audacity of Dutch's approach.
You twist words, you lie shamelessly, you think you are better than everyone else.
You like me?
Ti adoro. Date da bere sti uomini. Angelo Bronte.
Dutch Vanderlyn.
Turns out he and Dutch are not so different, but he's not going to hand over Jack before asking for a favor.
You perform a simple job for me, and you get your son back.
What is it?
A couple of people have taken to grave robbing in this cemetery.
Well, that is a fine place for it.
There might be something to be said about only helping the gang after literally sending them to the grave, but, you know, maybe that's getting ahead of ourselves. Jack is released, then reunited with his mom, and now John is enabled to reunite with his family.
John, you go be with your family.
Do as Dutch says. Go be with your family.
And we return to Shady Belle. What does it mean for the gang to hold up here? Well, let's consider what the site is. A house on a plantation, or rather, an abandoned house on a former plantation, likely having been operated with pre-emancipated peoples. The house is empty, and the crops are dead. Already, this camp is another clear reflection of the gang's state. It's the immoral way of life for a side of America that used to thrive, but no longer can, and honestly should never again. And that assessment is without even mentioning the former occupiers, the Lemoyne Raiders. And who are these boys?
Our fight will live on.
A gang of outlaws, in Lenny's words,
who think they war ain't never ended.
The Civil War?
Yeah, apparently it's still raging in these fools' minds 30 years later.
Okay.
They're the Confederates who tried staying Confederates, rebels within the former rebellion. How appropriate, then, to use the term bitter clingers to describe these men. Not because they're Bible thumpers, but because they're still committed to an officially, governmentally lost cause. The gang that used to operate from Shady Belle is hardly that different from the gang that takes it over. While the Vanderlyn gang might oppose racism and slavery, their opposition to civilization is effectively the same as the Raiders. And while the following quotes might be jumping ahead a bit, the way Dutch responds to failure reminds me of Lenny's description of the Raiders' denial that the fight is over.
Had a good run of it, I guess.
We ain't even played our hand yet. The game ain't over, Arthur. I mean, I ain't played my final move.
Another gang who thinks they have a chance in the fight they already lost. Oh, and did I mention that Shady Belle's within a swamp?
Look at that. Who'd want to live in a place like that?
That would be my home.
While the bayou is generally teeming with life, it's not the kind of life that makes human life comfortable, as Javier's gratitude reveals.
It's a nice place you brought us to, my brother.
Yes. Lovely, isn't it?
Makes me miss freezing to death in the mountains.
That, and I heard Karen and Tilly discussing something similar.
Trapped in a swamp.
Yeah,
It's like hell on earth.
it beats freezing to death.
In the south, in a swamp? This is not for me.
And even though Pearson gets hyped for hunting in the knee-high mud,
You see that swamp, Arthur? That's God's own pantry.
he'll admit later in a missable exchange with Hosea that he's not fit to live there anymore.
So you think this bake job's gonna work?
Get everything packed. We're leaving.
I hope so. I really do. This place is not for me.
And despite Dutch's double bed, where's his so-called lover sleeping now? In a corner. Not even a cot like the other ladies. In the corner, like a pest. I'd say like a rat, but we're getting ahead of ourselves again. Oh, how's Swanson doing?
You all right, Reverend?
I know what I saw. A girl. A ghost of a girl in white.
Yeah, still not well.
You've lost your mind.
Problem is, he's not crazy. She's right there. Actually, she's way up here, but this is the place where she's buried. Shady Belle's name is also worth taking apart. A beauty in the shade. It's a reference to the many trees surrounding the property, describing the harsh truth in pretty words. The beauty in this way of life is shady. The trauma is more powerful than the nostalgia. The light does not touch, it does not grace with its presence the evil goings-on at this dark place. Whether it was the forced labor, the demise of Agnes Dowd, the traffic of dynamite and rifles, or the presence of a notorious gang, Shady Belle is not where you want to be. Its location in the swamp is even further away from Blackwater than it was before, a descent even deeper into the humid south, one of the last places for someone like Arthur to be in.
This is filthy work.
Another detail that the game keeps reminding the player is that this location is very temporary.
I'm sure they'll find us eventually, but it should buy us a few days.
Few days is all we need. We are on the clock. I reckon we got a few days before the Pinkertons show, and then, well, we're done.
Unlike Horseshoe Overlook and Clements Point, the gang is not feasibly going to stay here for weeks on end, and don't you dare force them. I won't say that.
Don't tell me what to do.
This romp in the swamp is a relatively short one, roughly lasting little over 1 week if you play it straight and take just enough time. The goal here is to work the town as soon as possible, so on that note, now let's dive into the meaning of Saint Denis in relation to the gang, highlighting a handful of key aspects unique to the sprawling city, a place that Arthur writes is as awful as the bayou.
I cannot decide which I like less, the swamps or the city. Both are full of parasites, reptiles, and slime.
The Dutch Vanderlyn gang is both uncomfortable in the swamp and unfit for the city, though it is possible for Arthur to make many positive strides within the city, that is. In my current playthrough, Swanson approached Arthur in camp, mentioning his conversation with a monk in the city.
I met a monk there. Kindly fellow, took me back to my days in college. He said the strangest things about all manner of bad things happening in town.
Bad things happening in a city. Who would have thought it possible?
This was my first time seeing this conversation, and it acted as an excellent motive for Arthur to investigate this monk. Despite what Arthur remarked in the last chapter, the portrayal of the clergy in this game is surprisingly, that is, uncharacteristically positive and almost approving from Rockstar. What I remember from the first Red Dead Redemption were the racist undertones and unsatisfying answers from this priest to the hard questions from the sheer religious stupidity of this woman.
But Father, do you mean unless an innocent receives communion, they're destined to go to hell? It hardly seems fair.
What I mean to say, Jenny, is that there is a great deal of difference between an innocent and a savage.
I never thought of it that way.
The same woman who says God'll help her, and it's just you giving her medicine, but refusing to take a ride back into town. It's a clown world, like a Grand Theft Auto universe, but worse, because it's a deeply serious story within a world you're not supposed to take seriously. So, it's refreshing to see, despite the Chelonians and the folks of Butcher Creek, and even Swanson in the early game, that there are prominent, positive, and faithful depictions of people of faith. People that represent the pros of civilization, the goodness within Saint Denis. They act as foils to the outlaw's instilled expectations, but I find it's still in character for an outlaw like Arthur to help Brother Dorkins, because, as we have to keep reminding ourselves, Arthur was raised by Dutch and Hosea to care for the desperate and the exploited.
Remember the old days? When we used to go around giving away the money we'd robbed?
Yeah. Guess that just kind of stopped at some point.
Sure did.
It's more than fitting for Arthur to rescue the captives from the pawn shop, and I would argue it's fully in character for him to reject a reward for their rescue in this moment.
Give it to the poor, brother.
Thank you. I will.
Arthur is still fully capable of being the best the gang can be, just as he is fully capable of being the worst.
Duality. Well, I'm all about duality.
What does this mean for Saint Denis as a city? To have organized crime, abusive cops, and such a disparity in quality of life between districts, but to also have devout Catholics like Brother Dorkins and Sister Calderon to help street kids learn to read, to feed the many that will go hungry, and to save those Spanish kids who were chained in a basement. I think it's an illustration of how the civilized life might have greater evils than the free outlaw life, but civilization also has greater goods. There are many people inside the corruption of city who want to change it but are also willing to do something about it without taking matters into their own hands in a similarly corrupt way, i.e. robbing banks to feed the poor. Thomas Downs, a man from Valentine who also tried helping the poor, disgusted Arthur Morgan. I think because, one, he interrupted Arthur's fistfight with Tommy. Thomas interrupts the fight with Tommy. Okay, anyways, where I was going is that Arthur probably assumes all do-gooders are hypocrites, and is surprised to find that in Dorkins and Calderon's cases, they're not. It's a sign that the wisest man Arthur knew was also wrong about this. A reminder of the internal things happening to Arthur, if the presence of Mrs. Downs in the second Dorkins side mission wasn't enough of a hint. Like before, let's unpack the name of Saint Denis. Fun fact, the original name was going to be New Bordeaux, though Mafia 3 beat them to it. As a stand-in for New Orleans, Louisiana, Saint Denis Lemoyne is just as French. Whereas the real-life inspiration was named after a French city, named after a Roman emperor, Saint Denis was named after Saint Denis. Denis of Paris, specifically, was a Christian martyr, the first bishop of Paris, and he is venerated as a patron saint of both Paris and France. But you probably already knew that if you follow Red Dead lore this closely, so thank you for being here, and you likely also know how Denis was martyred. It's kind of in the logo. The legend goes that after his beheading, Denis of Paris picked up his head, started walking, and kept preaching repentance as he went. Wait a minute. Wait, that's basically the name of the mission where you go with Lenny to clear out Shady Belle. Though the word there was forgiveness, and that was referencing something in Luke that reads, preaching a baptism of repentance for the forgiveness of... Okay, that's a quote from John the Baptist, and he also was decapitated. Oh my goodness. They know what they're doing?
See? I do still possess some capacity for rational thought.
But this analysis would be amiss if I did not insist on spoiling the game for you new players. Get out of here, Albert. Stop the video and finish the game. While I have been keen on keeping these chapter breakdowns relatively spoiler-free, we have reached a point where we simply can't any longer if we wish to discuss the things that matter in this game. Final warning, specific spoilers from here on out. But why warn you now? What's the spoiler connected to Saint Denis?
What is that?
What the hell have they done to me?
After disappearing from the party and having said this,
joining this outfit is the best thing I ever done.
Gurren was decapitated and deoculated, forced upon a horse that rode into Shady Belle's courtyard. Reminiscent of how Lenny, canonically in my opinion, approached Shady Belle to lure all the raiders in one place, Gurren's body enters camp just as dramatically, albeit silently. He was posed post-mortem to carry his own head, an allusion to the image of Saint Denis. And just like when Lenny did this, the occupants of Shady Belle are then attacked by a rival gang, the O'Driscolls, after this theater. Unlike the raiders, though, the Vanderling gang survives the attack, but Dutch doesn't learn the right lesson.
We need to get moving. Away from here.
So, we should start looking for another camp.
You ain't thinking big enough, Arthur. You ain't seeing the vastness of our problems and our opportunities.
I'm not sure I get you.
You will, son. You will.
Arthur's first instinct is to heed the warning, the call for repentance, you might say, and go somewhere else, since this rival gang, despite their losses, is still twice the size of theirs, and they now know where they sleep. Dutch, however, insists that the best way forward is to go even faster in the same direction. Mind you, this is Dutch before he bonks his head. But let's talk about that, the trolley station robbery. While the riverboat poker robbery was a success, the trolley station is the first real indicator of the gang's chances against the big civilized world. As Arthur said,
I ain't never robbed in a city before.
So this caliber of theft is unprecedented for the gang, making it clear this is the first time the gang has ever attempted working a city. Towns? Yes. Blackwater, however, is not described as a city, but as almost a small city by Arthur in the prologue parts of the journal. He was expecting just a trading post, but was surprised by its growth, so it doesn't count as the first city, but the level of development or civilization that Blackwater had could still have been the most civilized place they had robbed from at that time. So to try to rob a place even bigger, even more civilized than the last town, is to ask for greater trouble. Given the average city's ever-present evil that Dutch is correct to call out, there was just no way for a job like this to go well. After all, the corruption that Dutch lamented over for his whole tenure as leader is the same corruption he tried to cozy up to in the guy's mansion and at the mayor's party. So of course the three of them only get
$15. Oh, and a quarter. Don't forget the quarter.
Shut up, Arthur.
This is another chance for Dutch to change course, but is that how he sees it?
What are we doing next, Dutch?
We just need money. One more decent take, and we're gone.
Dutch is still diving in head first, this time with a head injury. The aftermath of this successful failure leads Dutch deciding that the next course of action is removing Angelo Bronte from the equation. And that part's pretty easy. It's just murder. It's just butchery, which is more than doable for what is now a gang of butchers. This mission was not a robbery. There's no money in this. And no, the $155 on Bronte's person doesn't count. That was never the goal. The goal was to get rid of the city's guardian, Angelo, believing that his death would ensure their success. But does it work? No. The gang could kill aspects of society all the livelong day, but Bronte was not the full embodiment of the city's corruption. He was just a part of it, and was quickly replaced. There's still the local law, the federal law, and the law of money still running things. And no matter how hard the gang tries, Dutch cannot defeat civilization with a bullet. If you keep acting like a virus, the antibodies of life, no matter where life happens to be, will catch up to you. And you will lose, whether or not you're willing to admit it. Saint Denis was the testing ground for Dutch's great experiment. And he failed. When trying to rob a city bank, the Vanderlyn crew lost their wisdom and they lost their potential. While it's true that Dutch's gang was hinted to be doomed before the game even started, in my first playthrough there was still a part of me that believed in Dutch's bluster about helping folk and supporting each other. But as soon as I was on that roof, and I saw Lenny's body lying there, I knew that this was not a cause I could support anymore. And I played the rest of the game eager to see that cause's complete downfall. We'll continue in Chapter 5, where Dutch gets force-fed a taste of the very thing he kept promising. Let's just say he deserves it. After all the promising,
mangoes, maidens, paradise, an unspoiled paradise.
The showboating,
not this God-forsaken dump that all of Europe's detritus has acted out its vengeance on.
And promising to show a boat.
We need enough for a boat. Now, I found a friendly ship captain. He's willing to take us to Australia or Tahiti.
Dutch's plan ends up not working and he runs out of ideas.
What now?
I don't know. I don't.
But then he remembers an idea he hasn't tried before.
I got it. A boat.
How original.
So they wait until dark and sneak about to sneak aboard, though I must pause here and highlight Dutch's innate ability to not exactly hide well.
Duck.
Somehow he managed to not get caught when his head is sticking out from behind the chair. Not that Rockstar meant for it to be a sign of Dutch's ego being so big he can't even hide when he's trying to hide, but it just distracts me when I get to this part, and now hopefully it does to you too. Anyway, they get to the docks, Charles breaks off to pull the agents away from the gang, and they find themselves aboard the Antenor. Oh boy, okay. The most prominent holder of this name comes from the Trojan legends, an old advisor to the last king of Troy. Antenor is described as a tall, crafty storyteller whose house was spared from the atrocities of the foals of the Trojan horse because of his advocacy for peace and for the return of the abducted Helen back to Greece. Although some accounts claim it wasn't the Greeks that sneaked out and opened the gates for everybody, but rather Antenor was the one who opened the gates, and thus ending the Trojan War as a traitor. In Dante's Inferno, the ninth circle of hell, the final and deepest circle, is reserved for traitors, and it's composed of 4 rounds, the second of which is named after Antenor. So my best guess is that this ship is foreshadowing a betrayal so titanic that it leads to the immediate end of this epic conflict. Still, getting ahead of ourselves, it's time to get wrecked. Shipwrecked, that is, as a powerful storm stops by to sink the ship and separate Arthur from the other gang members able to swim. He awakes on a tropical island and roams the beach until we hit the chapter card and discover where nature has marooned us.
Where the hell are we?
We are on the island of Guam. Javier asked the local. It's a old sugar plantation island. Second island east of Cuba.
The island is run by the Cuban Navy, who arrest the estranged gang and make them a chain gang.
You seem like someone or other.
We was headed to Tahiti.
You was going to see the crowd.
It's important to keep in mind, the Panama Canal doesn't exist yet. And even in the epilogue of the first game, the newspaper reports about World War I breaking out, meaning it's still a single month before the canal completes construction. I only say this to emphasize how wrong Dutch is when he replies to Arthur,
Is it anywhere near Australia or Tahiti?
It's on the way, I guess.
It is, in fact, not on the way, and it wasn't even necessary for them to put it east of Cuba, because without the Panama Canal, any ship departing from southeastern USA would have to go around the southernmost tip of South America to reach the Pacific Ocean. It's simply not on the way, and is therefore a fitting form of punishment for Dutch. Guarma is essentially the exact thing that Dutch had dreamed about and screamed about, except instead of mangoes and maidens, it's man gone and mayhem. The island is gorgeous, but they have no seed capital. The macaws are beautiful and unique, but these birds are freer than they are. The gang is in the exact kind of place Dutch desired for everyone to be in, and even there, they're living as criminals and outcasts.
People wanting what ain't theirs and others telling them to take it.
I don't get you.
Labor troubles. And other thieves and pirates looking to disrupt our ways of working.
A paradise filled with the industrialization and exploitation no different than what they've faced before. It's as if, even when Dutch keeps his promises, he breaks them. The inspiration for Guarma is, of course, Cuban. In this universe, the Battle of San Juan Hill takes place on the fictional island, a battle won by the Colonel Theodore Roosevelt equivalent, Thaddeus Waxman. You know, the man made of wax, if you catch my
Stop babbling, boy!
Sorry. Unlike the previously discussed throwaway vessel, the name Guarma doesn't seem to have a proper meaning. It sounds like Guam mixed with guerrilla, the latter being Spanish for little war. While I'm not the biggest fan of the name, it more or less sounds correct, like the goal was to evoke a Spanish-speaking conflict on a Pacific island. That little war, by the way, kind of the whole reason we're on Guarma, is subject to disapproval among some players.
Bit weird, wasn't it? Very weird. Yeah, the Guarma stuff was really, really odd.
For an hour and a half straight, you're just mowing people down with almost no motivation behind it.
That is a fair and valid assessment.
You don't think he's just using us?
Almost certainly, but we don't have a lot of choice.
This war isn't something Dutch or anyone else wants to do, and because it's not that hard to shoot thanks to Deadeye, the game from here on out just throws a bunch of enemies at you. Dump the armory bucket, dump it all. And this is how they increase the difficulty. But even so, at the worst, I'd say Guarma is a reminder of how good the rest of the game is. A reminder that you're playing a game that normally gives you missions Arthur and the gang actually want to do. I don't see why we can't give a pass to this less than 2-hour section. It's not like the Spider-Man game where it's so much fun to be Spider-Man, heck yeah, Spider-Man, reckless, feckless, why am I a chick now? At least you're still following the same people in this change of pace, and at least it only happens once. Now, I don't know things, but I'm pretty sure Rockstar wasn't thinking,
well, we must have the gang fight for a revolution. It's essential for our agenda.
I think they just thought, we want to make a tropical island for you to explore. but they just didn't have time to finalize their vision. There's a lot of stuff that would have been awesome to see and explore later, but would have also bloated the experience further. Better for this out-of-place shakeup to be shorter than to be long and unsatisfying, kind of like the entirety of the first game. Besides, there is significant depth behind this compulsion-driven part of the plot, because after Dutch fails and sails away, he's not in control anymore, even on the kind of tropical paradise he wanted. It doesn't bother me as a player to be forced to fight in this conflict. It's brief, the animals are nice additions to the journal, you get to do some cool stuff with cannons, and you get to see a necessary transition for Dutch's deeper descent and Arthur's evolving estrangement.
A bunch of penniless fugitives on some Caribbean dump, sneaking through caves while 2 of our best men got shot back home. How could I doubt you, Dutch?
You got no idea, Arthur. No idea at all. I will do whatever it takes for us to survive.
I guess that's what I'm afraid of. Dutch? What are you doing? Jesus. Easy, Dutch. You keep killing folk, Dutch.
I am just trying to make sure that some of us survive, Arthur.
Are you gonna strangle me next?
I'm doing the best I can.
If it's beautiful, decent fun, and thematically powerful, then what's the actual inexcusable problem with Guarma?
You couldn't shave or cut your hair, and your carefully cultivated look was all wrong.
Oh crap, he's right, 2 out of 10. The worst I can say about Guarma is that it's underdeveloped, but despite that, it still gives us a greater picture of who these men are and how they're managing. In my mind, Guarma is essential.
We survived.
Just about.
But that's not the end of this section, as Chapter 5 continues back on land. The boat boys will split up and Arthur will find a highlighted Hungarian half-bred, ruining my second journal playthrough and cinematically running over this guy over a soundtrack. Arthur returns to Shady Belle with it looking exactly the same as when he arrived with John. He finds a letter addressed to Tacitus Kilgore, and he sneaks away from the arriving Pinkertons to find where Sadie Adler had led the gang to.
We've gone to visit relatives in Lagann, a small village just north of Saint Denis. It's buggy and muggy, but apparently neither is too bad at this time of year.
The small village is even swampier than Shady Belle, its buildings more dilapidated, and its functionality as a tangible base even more laughable. They don't even have the necessary room for their tents. The greatest irony of this place is in the name. Lagann is Haitian Creole for home, so maybe at one point in time, this village, disconnected from the big city sitting right there, was a good refuge and a decent place to literally call home. The swamp is a great place for food, and it's not too far from the other supplies they need, so it's not clear why Lagann couldn't have carried on like Lagra had in the same waters. Maybe the residents moved on to live better lives. Maybe they died off. Maybe killed by the Night Folk, or maybe they became the Night Folk, as evidenced by the voodoo artifacts lying around. And what remains of Lagann's original occupants are nothing more than a group of killers who have lost their souls. Or maybe my speculation is merely based on what happens to the gang. Who knows? All I do know is that Lagann's many nooks and crannies are now filled with many crooks and nannies, and the time spent at Lagann is less time than Uncle's average nap.
Hey, old man, wake up!
While the other members not involved in the bank robbery may have spent a couple of weeks at this nigh uninhabitable site, Tacitus and the other cousins only spend about 3 days at the very most. As soon as the rest of the remaining stragglers show up, the Pinkertons announce their arrival before the gang had time to catch their collective breath.
Now sit down.
This is Agent Milton with the Pinkerton Detective Agency.
Already?
In less than 2 minutes after Dutch opens the door, the detectives open fire.
Give them to a count of 5, then give them everything. Actually, let them have it.
Sadie and Arthur crawl out and around to flank the agents, and Bill joins the fighting once they stop the frontal assault. And yes, I am firing this Gatling gun at full burst. It's a Gatling gun. I'm not doing the dumb gold medal objectives if they make my gameplay objectively dumber.
Thank you.
After they win this fight, Dutch announces their time limit.
Clearly, we need to leave. It'll take them some time to regroup. We need a couple of days.
Abigail reminds us of the other boy she lost.
Hey, Arthur, they got John.
They got John.
Okay.
What are you gonna do about John, Dutch?
And now Arthur is faced with a choice to either first move camp or first investigate springing John out of prison. At this point, I had always gone towards Saint Denis first, since the mission and the other thing in that direction are officially considered part of Chapter 5. However, for this mega-analysis, as well as the perfect journal playthrough, I've chosen this time to approach Dutch first. To me, it makes more sense in this context to find a new camp as soon as possible, especially after the one camp interaction Lagann has.
How you coming along there?
I'm moving as fast as possible.
Well, good. All of you, hurry this along. We need to go. Do you want those men to come back?
Morning, Arthur.
So before we transition to Chapter 6, let's recap the two camps of Chapter 5. Guarma is the tropical paradise for few and military-industrial hellhole for others, mirroring the ultimate goal for the gang's efforts, and yet being the most eastward location and the furthest away from Blackwater. Back on the regular map, Lagann is found up north, surrounded by swamp and mere yards away from cultic symbols and hangings. The gang was being protected by the taboo of Lagann. No one would approach out of fear, except for the enemy who's unafraid of such treachery. How do you counter that enemy? For the Vanderlyn gang, the answer was to settle somewhere even more treacherous.
There ain't no way Dutch is gonna just hide away in a cave somewhere. Goes against everything he stands for. That'd be admitting we're nothing more than low-down criminals.
Which we are.
You don't have to tell me.
So where does it end?
Way up north and way east, in the furthest area away from where the gang's lost riches were hiding, Arthur and Charles come across a campsite covered in human carcasses from various caravans. The men then clear out the cave-dwelling creeps and rescue a girl.
You're safe. It's okay. What's your name, miss? It's okay.
Meredith.
You're gonna be home soon, Meredith.
Arthur will take her to Annesburg, and given that her family has suffered enough, I've chosen for this heroic outlaw to reject yet another reward for saving a poor captive.
Oh, that's okay, ma'am. You just keep her warm and keep her safe.
Before leaving, Arthur gets hit with one of the final reminders of why he's coughing, how badly this specific family is currently living, and how far, in general, his life has fallen. That fall is further expressed in the broader gang once Dutch, Micah, and the rest arrive at the recently renovated cave entrance. And I phrased it Dutch, Micah, and the rest, because that is what the gang has been reduced to.
Micah and I need to do some reconnaissance.
Found a girl. Took her home.
Oh.
You and Micah find anything?
Maybe. I think maybe. I found our old friend, Mr. Cornwall.
You did?
Yeah.
So even after Arthur tells him about the girl he rescued, rescue is not on the forefront of Dutch's mind. What is on his mind is getting into deeper trouble. As per Micah's guidance. Okay, fascinating. Not long after, Uncle drags in a drunk Miss O'Shea.
Honey, you sucker shit!
Back and drunk.
She was the only gang member whose whereabouts were unknown in the previous chapter. Scorned and desperate to affect Dutch, she blurts out that she talked to the Pinkertons.
I told them!
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I told them, and I tell them again. Now I've got God's ear.
You told who? What?
Mr. Milton and Mr. Ross about the bank robbery, and I wanted them to kill you.
You did what?
But this stunt results in something Arthur tried to prevent, but could not.
You...
She knew the rules, Arthur. What the hell is wrong with you?
One of the only laws of the outlaw. Spilt beans, spilt guts. This treacherous campsite is introduced with how the gang deals with treachery, setting up the perfect tonal shift for Beaver Hollow.
You're a nasty woman, Miss Crenshaw. A nasty woman. You think I wanted to shoot her? You seem to like it. I saw that beady look in your eye. You're
Morning,
drunk
Arthur.
again, and you're a fucking murderer. She broke the rules. She did no such thing.
Molly's unmarked grave marks the unmanageable mania that grows more and more amongst the members of the gang. Karen and Susan have had tension, mutual disrespect, and vitriol before, but nothing as venomous as this.
She was in love, you sour-faced old crone. Goddamn you, murderer! Murderer!
In prior camps, they still found the time to sing together. In fact, they found many times to do so. But now, nobody's singing with anyone else. Only lone cowboys with their songs. Javier might play a tune like before, and if you manage not to catch it throughout your playthrough, you might find Pearson playing a shanty far more useful and cathartic at this time in the game.
Goodbye, fare ye well. Goodbye, fare ye well.
Their voices are their own and on their own, because everyone is alone. It's not just the prospects that are dying. The culture is dying. Pearson's been hitting the old bottle of aged Navy blues.
It's over, Mr. Morgan. It's all over.
And it seems like he only has two moods in Chapter 6, drunk and depressed. And Karen is both at the same time. She's been hitting the drink even harder after Sean's death, sleeping with a bottle in her hand and waking up still drunk and somehow doing guard duty.
Wake up.
Frank.
Unlike Pearson, who's almost on the same level of drunken misery, Karen is likely not going to recover. And as Karen protested, Grimshaw may have been the one to erase comfortable society from the picture, but even she is questioning Dutch's actions.
I still think maybe things will turn out okay. You'll steer Dutch right. I know you will.
I have always been loyal, Dutch. And I shall go on being loyal, but what are we doing here? We need to move and keep moving.
Susan is also the one to tell you that someone's broken the box. But more on that later. Tilly and Mary Beth will argue about Molly's death, and it's the first time I've heard Mary Beth insult someone's core like this and direct it at, of all people, one of her closest friends.
Tilly, I do believe you got a cold heart.
Now, you know that ain't true.
Of course it ain't, but I'm scared.
Javier and Bill will approach you about where your loyalties lie, and they'll berate others for not being blind with their loyalty.
Where's your faith?
I got a son, Mr. Escuela. I want him to live.
It's by staying together that we live. Come on!
Like Mary Beth, Uncle and Trelawney don't do much this chapter except eventually evacuate. When Pearson is finally fed up with feeding these feckless feathermuckers, he leaves with Uncle, and Mary Beth follows after. And to say the least, this makes Dutch a bit, miffed.
Pearson left. Old Uncle. The traitors. Both gone. I think Mary Beth left as well. They are goddamn cowards, Arthur. Cowards. Of all the time we spent to run off.
Interesting, as this contradicts with how he was talking not too long ago.
This isn't a prison camp. I am not forcing anybody to stay.
Of course, not all who refuse to stand by Dutch leave. One of them can be kicked out.
Herr Strauss.
Predatory loans! If you're talking to us, something's probably gone wrong.
If you don't go after the final debtors, Herr Strauss will pack up and leave, having given up faith. But this should never happen, as Arthur should be the one to expel the shameful side of the gang and directly see the hurt those debtors have gone through. In short, Strauss is as Sadie describes.
Strauss is a bag of nerves.
More like Herr Stress, am I right, fellas?
I don't know if I like being associated with this.
Either way, Strauss doesn't last long in Beaver Hollow. Additionally, Adler added that
Swanson's actually gone and cleaned up his act.
And it's a relieving turnaround for the Reverend. He expresses concern for Arthur's well-being, and Arthur notices his.
You seem well, on the other hand?
Yes, I've stopped all that silly business. I think I'm okay.
He's objectively in his best mood, and it's because he's given up the morphine and the drinking.
I met a Catholic lady, a nun.
Likely the same Catholic lady that will replace Swanson in the final mission with Captain Monroe. If Arthur had freed the captives, returned the crucifix, and made a contribution for the hungry people of the city, Sister Calderon will be on her way to affirm the continuity of the first game. And in this cutscene, she will do for Arthur what Swanson describes she did for him.
And we prayed, and it was lifted. The curse was lifted.
Take a gamble that love exists, and do a loving act.
The loving act that Arthur will do is helping the Marstons. Like I mentioned, Dutch is considering a social call with Cornwall before he considers rescuing John. John has been rescued from wolves to a literally warm welcome, but when he's rescued from the law, Dutch responds with contempt as Arthur warned.
John! What are you doing here?
Good to see you too, partner.
I meant I hadn't sent for you yet.
Abigail's relieved for his return, but is visibly ready to throw hands at her leader for not caring about the talk of hanging her husband.
They was talking.
The only reason Abigail doesn't leave is because she's waiting for the right opportunity to leave together. And as a result, Jack is forced to remain in this place, and for once, he's not happy.
Hi, Jack.
I don't like waking up in this place.
Naturally, he's the only one to notice that Kane is missing.
I'm really worried. Kane! Come on! Kane! Kane!
Another aspect of home, gone, and probably put down by Micah. And Micah is, well, Micah.
Well, my daddy said, sympathy is for the weak. Old Dutch has made a fool of himself trying to save you, and that's the truth.
But worse so, because with the morale dwindling, the women growing even more uncomfortable, and the family structure breaking down, Micah is going to get exactly the kind of gang that he wants.
We need to be leaner so we can move faster, quieter. I prefer a tight crew, just 5 or 6 strong gunmen.
And right before the end of this road, Micah just so happened to bump into these 2 men who don't belong and add up to the precise number that he estimated when John and Arthur returned to the Hollow to confront Dutch. Is it even Dutch's gang anymore?
What's wrong, Arthur?
Nothing at all, boss.
John, go drive this over to Bacchus Bridge. Get it hidden near there.
He really does think he's in charge.
You go on. Get them bags packed up quick, Miss Grimshaw. Come on. All of you.
Well, we're doing our best. Who are you?
Who are you?
Dutch's tent is fixed at the mouth of the cave, the furthest away from any attack point, with everybody else in front of him. And unlike other camps where Arthur's dwellings were in the same house, right outside beside each other, or just down the hall, the distance from Dutch's tent is now significantly further away from Arthur's caravan. He's closed off from the rest of the camp too, usually having his tent flap down, uninviting, and playing no records from his phonograph. If he's not giving a speech no one's listening to or conspiring with the little devil on his shoulder, he's not open to input or engagement.
I'm sorry, Arthur. It's private, you know.
Don't mind me.
What happened to you? Arthur, why did you have to go and change on me?
What are you talking about?
I never lied to you. I told you the truth. I gave you all I had. All of you!
He is distant and on the edge of insanity. Yes, the edge, for he has not gone fully insane as he is not actually in the cave. But he's between the walls, above the cavern, adjacent to crazy is crazy. True, the foreshadowing from Charles and Arthur about Dutch hiding in a cave somewhere is undeniable, but it's not just referring to this cave. It's this one too. In the first Red Dead Redemption, the cave that Dutch runs deeper inside of until he runs out of cave, cutting off the path of his savagery. In Chapter 6, there's still a hint of good in Dutch.
Best thing we can do is let the weak go. Move on, get our money, and start over.
That ain't happening. Well, something's gotta happen.
It's obviously not enough good, but the nuance of precisely how far Dutch has fallen is important to rightly represent. Let us not exaggerate by saying he's completely off his rocker. He's only mostly off his rocker. There's a big difference between... Never mind. To illustrate exactly how rotten he's gotten, consider where he now hides the treasures they've all collected.
The money? It's hidden in the caves at Beaver Hollow.
What?
Yeah. So much for never hiding it near camp. Dutch was getting even sloppier than we thought.
And he has been sloppy. The moral standards that Dutch used to uphold have slowly been sacrificed on the altar of maybe there's money. So to have the ill-gotten gains in the most obvious place for the enemy to find it is beyond indicative of Dutch's fall from the ideals he pretended to uphold. Keep your money close and your enemies closer. And that's everyone except... oh. Charles will leave after the hollow is hollowed out and will return to camp with eagleflies from the Wapiti tribe. He's been helping them in any way he can. As a result of his minor absence, instead of affecting the gang on a meaningful level, Charles' great effect is on Arthur, asking him to also help the tribe, which is the same optional chain of missions which lead us to this life-changing conversation with the sister. Charles is mainly there to break eagleflies from the fort and to leave the gang to help the tribe move to Canada after the assault on the oil refinery. He's kind of detached, but more on him in the distant future. Finally, there's Sadie. Sadie's doing fine.
Hi, Sadie.
Hey, Arthur.
You doing okay in all this?
You don't have to worry about me.
But easy for her to say, the only thing she worries about is pouring out perpetual vengeance on the O'Driscolls. And she got what she wanted. Now, to be fair, she does demonstrate her care for the Marstons, as she is snappy about springing John, and there's no hesitation when she rides with Arthur to rescue Abigail. But for most of the time at camp, she's hardly affected by the bad things happening to the gang. Aside from Kieran, she has spent the least amount of time with them, and therefore has the least amount of ties. If it seems like I'm holding back from drawing out more connections and conclusions about these characters, I am, as I am saving the content for other segments down the line. Later in the series, I shall cover each individual gang member's contribution and thematic purpose for the gang throughout the story. So good news, there's more to come from this mega-analysis. But we're not done with Beaver Hollow. I haven't even started with Beaver Hollow, the campsite itself. It's a miserable plateau within the hilly forests of Roanoke Ridge. Before, the site was inhabited by a large and dysfunctional inbred family of killers, and now the site is unhappy home to a small and even more dysfunctional informal family of killers.
Turned into a bunch of killers, I mean it. We ain't even got the delusion of being anything but a bunch of killers.
Still, the gang is far from god-awful, as are the Murphy Brood, the original occupants of the Hollow. The Vanderlyn gang typically targeted the big scores, the trains and the banks, as their primary source of funding. They were never so desperate that they needed to resort to robbing anyone and everyone that imposed on their territory. But I think the Hollow being home to the Murphys is less about being the gang's perfect parallel and more about being the trajectory of the kind of killers they'd become if their current tendencies continued and remained unpunished. It's a harrowing place for Hollow people, those that have given up on being charitable.
Someone smashed the box.
What box?
The money box. We'd had that for so many years.
Why did they smash it?
Well, I don't know.
I like the detail that the donation box was smashed by an unknown party. Normally, we'd love to pin the blame on a particular piece of shit, but this time there's no clear implication of who had done it. Who destroyed the practice of almsgiving within the family? The family did. It could have been anyone. Nobody wants to contribute to this anymore. No one is good enough to give of themselves to the gang, and those who are good enough as people should do the only thing good people can do in these circumstances. Get out of there.
Yeah, get out of there.
Those that remain are either fools or fiends. The kind of creatures that have given up keeping up internal appearances. Did you notice that you can't do any chores in Chapter 6 either? Chapter 4 was the last time the player could do that. Immersively boring activities, which I love, by the way, that increase honor and Deadeye experience, indicating chores are good for your soul, and they keep you sharper. Splitting wood, dropping off corn sacks, and topping off water. Around Shady Bell, the water then may have been swampy, but at least it was something. But now, don't be silly. No one is willing to hoof it down the hill to gather water, which I might add is not for drinking. The gang has buckets of drinking water in several spots around camp. The other bucket of water was mainly for washing, whether it was Arthur's muddy face, Swanson's drunk face, or the dishes. No one is clean in Beaver Hollow. No one's carrying their weight around because the weight of their predicament is far too heavy for all of them to carry, so they carry on, doing only the bare minimum, not taking the time to play cards or dominoes. And on top of that, the horses suffer from overcrowding and constant fear. The ground is rock, but instead of describing a firm foundation, this stony plateau provides far less in the way of food for the horses to eat.
So it goes. They are goddamn cowards.
One thing I was still trying to piece together is why it's called Beaver Hollow, as if beavers could carve out rock caves with their teeth. Beavers are native to the area, and many of them, including the legendary beaver, are just south of Butcher Creek, having built their dam. The name could simply be related to the region, but it almost seems like Butcher's Hollow would have been the perfect, way too on-the-nose name, but was already half taken by the aforementioned village, where its name there refers to the actual trade of chopping meat for folk to eat. I thought maybe the name reflects how the beaver makes its home by disrupting the flow of nature, but then again, they're also a part of nature, so I was ready to conclude that Beaver Hollow is just a name. Same with Murphy. I didn't find anything special about the name Murphy. I thought maybe it's the same situation with Beaver Hollow. But the more I thought about it, I realized beavers are a hard-working species. They knock down trees for the branches and build themselves protection from predators in the form of ponds spawned by their dams. They work to secure their future. A beaver, then, is a creature of promise. The promise that they will do what they can to secure their promised land of safety. Dutch is also a maker of such a promise.
We ain't done yet, because things are gonna get tough, but we are gonna get where we want to go. Whenever I got you two by my side, things are gonna be just fine. We will disappear, be reborn. Then we meet up, we gather the family, we get some money, and get the hell out of there. That's the plan. I ain't got a final plan yet. Arthur, I ain't got it.
Dutch doesn't have a plan, he only has a promise. One that he breaks over and over again, until there's no one left to make promises to. His words are strong, but empty, just as they had been from the beginning. Remember how we almost believed him back then?
But we lost some folks. Now, if I could throw myself in the ground in their stead, I'd do it gladly. And I would throw myself in the ground in their place 100 times over if I could. I miss every man and every woman who fell. I do. And I would die in their place gladly if I could.
His promises are as hollow as the hollow itself. If promises were crackers, my Arthur would be fat.
Think on that, boy.
With that covered, let's move on to the map, as the physical location of the campsite means more than being in the furthest opposite corner from Blackwater. Unlike West Elizabeth, northeastern New Hanover has what the kids call slim pickings. Blackwater was an up-and-coming town with enough corruption to guarantee a decent score. That's simply not the same story with Beaver Hollow's surrounding communities. Butcher's Creek is right down the road, but it's definitely not the kind of place you'd call an opportunity. It's nothing but poor poison people who live by their superstitions under the leadership of a charlatan shaman, almost exactly like the one day. Van Horn is not exactly better. Southeast from Butcher's Creek, the town has at least a few businesses, that's something, but it's mainly a spitty saloon, a half-star hotel, and a fence, something useful to the outlaw beyond being robbable. There's no law in Van Horn, so everyone in town is strapped. Even if there was something here worth risking life and limb for, the people have their pieces too, and will not make their peace with you.
Next time, avoid me.
And lastly, to the north from here is Annesburg, a company mining town with neither a saloon nor general store in operation. The one store that they have running is a gun store, and it's run by the nicest shop owner in the game. Even if you were insistent on robbing from the guy who has all the guns, why would you want to?
Ah, you have kept that perfectly maintained. I love to see that.
The only money worth taking coming through Annesburg was Leviticus Cornwall, and that did not go anywhere, so Micah had to swipe some documents that gave them an idea of where the capital might come from.
It looks like Mr. Cornwall's company has signed a railroad contract with the army. And they're also moving dynamite down from, well, the Annesburg mines to Saint Denis to resell. And there's bonds at his oil factory. Maybe there's a way to get them off our back and get the money that we need.
And that is the bright idea. See, there is no money in this region. Their plan is to force the money to come to them. Why not just move somewhere with better opportunities? Well, they physically can't.
What are we doing here? We need to move and keep moving.
We need money! You dumb fool! Money! Or we are dead!
They can't go west or south because the law had already followed them there. They can't go east because...
Well, because then we'll be in the ocean, so we're gonna have to go north.
But they also can't go further north because the caravan can't climb waterfalls. That's why they really do need a boat.
New York? We are gonna go to New York. Now, they have been chasing us south and east and west. We're gonna get a boat, we're gonna get on a river, and we're gonna go north.
New York.
And it's why they need the money there. But how do they get the money there? And who has the money? Or rather, who has the kind of money they could bring with them in response to gang activity? The government. The same entity currently actively seeking their destruction. In practice, the Vanderlyn Bell plan involves pissing off the feds so much that it compels the army to bring all the cash wages necessary to quickly repair a major railway bridge. Of course, guaranteeing the amount of money needed to repair that bridge would also guarantee the army bringing the army, trained, hardened combatants with bullets of their own. That's the theory. It sounds stupid. In concept, however, this may in fact be the most ingenious plan they can muster in this general Custerfest. That's how lost they are at this time. The stupidest, most counterintuitive concept ever is currently the best idea. Goad the government. Anger the army. They'll bring the bank. Dutch is so focused on the nebulous promise of paradise that he's willing to bait the biggest predator of his own kind just to steal from their stashes. But maybe you've been thinking for the last 7 years, why the hypocrisy?
They was talking of hanging me, Dutch.
They was talking. They was talking. And now they may come and hang us all.
Why is Dutch completely on board with boarding a train that comes with the wrath of the law, but beforehand angry at Arthur for sparking the same wrath over freeing John? Well, you see, it's not hypocrisy. That would mean Dutch is being inconsistent. He is not. For unlike pieces of paper with U.S. presidents on them, John Marston is not money. Dutch behaves as if the prison break was not worth it because the only thing of worth to him now is money. Family and helping the poor becomes less important to Dutch to the point of its value disappearing entirely.
I guess I'm more interested in saving lives than winning a chess.
And maybe life ain't such a thing to cling on to so tightly.
No doubt. What about the women?
You sound like Hosea. I miss him.
I asked you a question.
John, you are my brother. You are my son. I was coming for you. You know me. We shoot fellers as need shooting. We save fellers as need saving. Feed them as need feeding.
Not this again. It's been quite a while since we helped anyone but ourselves, and even you know that.
People will see these boys. They won't notice us, and they'll think we're gone. Everyone will blame everything on the Indian problem, and we'll disappear up the river. But first, we need to trap them in this pass. Help me dynamite up these trees.
So, you're using them?
No, sir. No. Never. But you're okay.
What a mess.
I know. But a mess is what we need. Oh, we just escaped from chaos.
He might have saved Arthur from the rapids after escaping the sheer numbers of the army, but during the oil refinery mission, after this steam stuns Arthur, Dutch walks away from a mere 3 dudes who are not even aware that Dutch is there. He could have surprise attacked them and easily saved Arthur. But he already had the bonds he came for. Familial bonds be damned. It's no surprise that in the final mission of the main story, Dutch is convinced by Micah's assertion that Abigail is not worth the trouble, even when her 4-year-old son is right there.
We need to keep riding on this one, Dutch. You know it. Every man here knows
So we
it.
just gonna let the boy be made an orphan? It ain't like that.
What is it like? I want to live, cowpoke. I still got the choice. Dutch, it's just a girl.
You're right. Micah, it pains me to say it, Arthur. But he's right.
Dutch!
Come on, boys.
Yeah!
Well, I guess that's that then. All them goddamn years.
Come on, Arthur. Let's go get her. You and me is all we need.
Before the two of them ride, Arthur gives up his sack of cash and some of his own cash for Tilly Jackson, the second-to-last family he directly affected to find a good life, and one of many. Make no mistake, my least favorite camp in the game is Beaver Hollow, but my favorite chapter is Chapter 6. While Dutch, Micah, and the rest may have caused the greatest amount of trouble at this time in the story, it's also the one chapter where Arthur can do the most good. Whether it's giving away money after canceling a debt or helping the same family he himself handicapped, the person Arthur becomes is a protagonist I'd much rather be controlling than the person he was before.
I just wanted to say the debt's canceled and here, take this. It won't bring your husband back, I know. You need money and I don't. You ain't gonna last much longer out here if you don't know how to hunt. Come on. I'll show you. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what happened. I was a fool. And I'm suffering for my foolishness. But don't go and get yourself killed because of your pride.
In order for Jack to be safe, for Tilly to have a home, for Marybeth to have that desk, for Pearson to have his stable job, you, the player, have to go through this dark time. As much as Beaver Hollow sucks, Arthur's character development outweighs the quote-unquote problem of an unideal environment and lack of little features. Simply put, if things didn't go badly, if the game wasn't as fun as it used to be, we wouldn't be calling Arthur Morgan the greatest fictional character of all media of all time. The gang needed Beaver Hollow. If the vibes weren't off, if it didn't suck to be here, if this context and environment was fun to be in, the whole game would be worse. Playing out an indefinite fantasy of outlaw exploits and outdoor exploration is no doubt fun, but it's a whole other kind of fulfillment when that same fantasy enables you to make your time spent with the gang a meaningful endeavor. At the end of his life, making it all mean something is what Arthur Morgan's concerned about the most.
And all you can do now is decide the man you want to be for the time you have left.
But I know now that you don't get to live a bad life and have good things happen to you.
I think you're being hard on yourself.
Maybe. All I can do now is try and make some things right. You could give something to Jack. It's that or... Well, I don't see no way out of this.
What are you gonna do?
I'll be okay, but do it for me. It would make me feel good, if that makes any sense. We're gonna get you the money you need. Knowing the three of you got out, well, maybe all of this will still mean something. Tilly and Susan, too. I'll do whatever it takes. Oh, them years, Dutch. For this snake.
His final confrontation with the remnants of the gang is driven by his indignation with Dutch. Arthur kept trying to appeal to Dutch's sense of family and kept failing, but recognizing that...
I just saw Agent Milton, Dutch. Abigail shot him. She's okay. Not that you care too much about that.
His strategy now is sharing the intel from Agent Milton, who told him that it wasn't Molly, but Micah who was the rat. Keep in mind, Arthur didn't know John was still alive and on his way to camp, so despite the cash in the caves, Arthur may have been willing to show up outnumbered so long as he planted that seed of Micah's treachery, his last attempt to get through to Dutch.
Dutch, think of the future. Dutch, be practical now.
Notice how Micah's best defense is to ignore the truth because they're so close to escaping. Dutch now has a choice, but it's not to believe one man or the other because he could learn that Micah was the rat and still leave with his money. This was an ultimatum between love and the love of money. But when John returns...
Dutch! You left me! You left me to die!
My boy, I didn't have a choice. John, I didn't have a choice.
Left me!
It almost sounds like he's not just talking about the last train job, but every action that had brought us here. It's as if Dutch is admitting he's become a slave to his base desires and his fantastical fixations. Any corruption or disloyalty can be squared away with, I just had to do it.
Dutch killed a girl in a bad way, but it was a bad situation. But for me, I still believe in him. Because, well, he did what he did. But he did it for love. Aww. For all of us. Yes, I feel bad. They didn't deserve that. But listen, I just think, and I've been thinking about this a lot, I just think Dutch loves us. And being loved, well, we're gonna be okay.
This spiritual slavery is what costs the Vanderlyn gang everything. Everything. Not simply their stability and safety, but their souls.
Well, Javier, think for yourself.
Put your guns down!
In no time at all, the Pinkertons arrive and the rats scatter. John and Arthur stay together, run through the cave to escape, and ride until they're stopped at the base of this small mountain.
Let's go. Well, what about the money? Abigail gave me the key. I head down there, I'm dead in 5 minutes. I got a family. That's more important. Maybe you're right, but you want the money? You head down. I gotta go to my family.
Presented to the player is the final choice for Arthur. Whether to personally ensure that John Marston makes it safely home, or run back to get the money hidden in the cave. Many players think that this choice is stupidly easy, and it is, but is it so stupid that the low honor option is completely unwarranted, even for a high honor Arthur? I don't think so. Listen to what Arthur says after he decides to go back for the money.
Dutch. Micah. Come and get me, you bastard.
Helping out the Marstons with some cash wasn't the only reason he suggested going back. Arthur wanted to head back to the Hollow for the strong chance that Dutch and Micah would also be going back for that money sack. He was hoping for the byproduct of vengeance for all them years and for all them lies.
I figured that you and I had some unfinished business.
This game allows you to attempt revenge, but Arthur will never succeed because he's not Sadie Adler, because revenge is a fool's game. For me, and for most, the most correct choice is helping John at high honor. However, the high honor alternative is still valid. It's excellent poetry to behold all the buildup the gang has accumulated over the summer just to have Micah claim it all as if he was the one who stole everything from the gang. Beaver Hollow would then be more than a terrible campsite, it'd be the gravesite. The tragedy alone would be powerful, but additionally, Micah's depth of field would be forever broken.
Oh, you got me pretty good, Black Lung.
Now that does sweeten the deal, I gotta say. But it's better for consistency of character for Arthur not to revert to the kind of person that he had tried to remind and reform since the start of the game. So I believe it's best for Arthur Morgan to suggest revenge, but not go through with it. He wants to stick it in Dutch's nose, he wants to give Micah the Molly treatment, but the better option is to choose love. Now, suppose someone really wants to give Micah the impromptu optic surgery. Say that's you. Say that you say, no matter what path you go down, John will still make it to his family, so you may as well fight Micah with all you have left and give that rat something to remember Arthur by. I hear you, but what the player and these two brothers don't get in this choice is a proper goodbye.
I'll see you around, John Marston. Be safe.
Compared to the emphasis of this?
You're my brother. I know.
That's the closure these boys needed. And I'm glad both options are available. It strengthens the player's relationship with this game and with these characters to force them to make that binary decision between family and robbery. The choice is between success and failure. You either will succeed at smoothly getting John to safety with a formal farewell, or you will fail at stealing back what the gang stole, even if you believe he's stealing it for the Marstons. Now, in these chapter campsite videos, I haven't usually invested this much time deep diving into the story irrespective of the campsites, but I had to here because there's one final idea illustrated in Arthur's final choice. The reason I welcome the option to go down the less popular path, despite never doing so myself, is because it gave me spectacular imagery that helped me better understand the imagery of the obvious choice. When you go back for the money, you descend to Beaver Hollow. When you make it back to camp, you'll go down even further into the cave. You might make it out the cave, but you won't leave the hollow, which, by the way, has been set ablaze. You'll fight Micah, surrounded by flames and darkness, in the worst place on the map, this pit of Roanoke Ridge. This choice is the path of dissension. This is hell. On the other hand, if Arthur sticks with John, he ascends. Arthur will push until he can't, and he will fight until he's done. And when he can't push no more, he will give John his satchel and his hat, everything he has, and everything he is. A complete sacrifice, so another may have life, and have it abundantly.
I'll hold him off. It would mean a lot to me. Please. Go. Arthur. Go to your family. Arthur! Get the hell out of here and be a goddamn man.
As the carpenter said, greater love has no one than this, to lay down his life for his friends. When Dutch arrives to the scene, he recognizes the sacrifice Arthur made. Not just for John, but for him as well.
I gave you all I had. I did. Come on.
Micah eggs and begs Dutch to join him, but Arthur finally got through to him, and so he departs from the snake.
Come on, Dutch! Come on!
Arthur's left alone to sit with his actions, seeing the light one last time, or possibly only the last earthly time. Arthur has ascended. Are the efforts of Arthur Morgan enough to redeem his life for the next one? It's a big question, and it may be too big for the moment, so for now, let us meditate on John's family and the full picture of how Arthur saved them. Will this sacrifice be enough to guarantee a better life for the Marstons? Why don't we ask them? I'd like to take a moment to say thank you all for helping me reach over 20,000 subscribers, which is 15,000 more than where I was 3 months ago. It's really exciting to have this be the path forward, and there's more to come, so I look forward to all the things on that path. Take care. After the sacrifice, the running, and the running out of Arthur's money, the Marstons returned to the southeastern states some years after John escaped the Pinkertons and reunited with his family, having been thought dead. And speaking of death, this is the reason the Marstons are moving yet again.
That was close. Too close. We brought that trouble on ourselves.
By we, you mean me.
It wasn't me who went and shot him.
Seemed like he deserved shooting.
I'm sure he did. But I've been thinking, ain't it about time you stop being the man making them decisions?
I'm trying.
Are you?
I think so.
We gotta find someplace to lay low. Keep quiet.
This exchange feels like a summary of the past 8 years. John cannot suppress his violence and settle down, so neither can his family.
Come on, John. Please, try.
Try what?
We gotta live somewhere for more than just a few weeks.
Okay. Let's see what we can find in Strawberry. What do you know about Strawberry?
I know they like good, honest, hard-working men a whole lot more than angry killers. So make yourself good and honest.
I'm always honest. Maybe not always good, but I'm always honest.
To think, with all that money divvied up at Copperhead Landing, not to mention again Arthur's satchel loaded with cash, and the Marstons still couldn't find a peaceful living, it speaks volumes about John's behavior. One of the reasons, as a player, that I'm fine with the cash not carrying over. It paints the greater picture of their predicament. All flee and no stay makes Jack a dull boy.
Boy?
I'm sorry, sir. What was that?
I said you're a bad influence. On your mother. With your books.
By the way, we know that it's been 8 years because 4-year-old Jack is now 12. Anyways, Abigail can't read, so Jack does the reading for her, and this fact gives us one of the cutest quotes in the entire game.
I bet that sign says strawberry, don't it? I got a good feeling about this place.
When they park in front of the general store, John remarks about the kind of low-class jobs that he might find.
I'm gonna go see what kind of good, honest work I can find. Grave digging or polishing some rich fella's boots or some such.
Me too. See if me and the boy can find some laundry work or something.
Notice how Abigail isn't fazed by his sarcasm. She's completely sincere with pursuing this stable, normal life, no matter how boring or besmirched the work may be.
Hey, how you getting on?
I found some work.
Me too.
Delivering goods out to some ranch.
Cleaning a doctor's surgery.
Fine living.
It is, John. Oh, it is. This is the way to it.
Take your word on that.
John's reluctance toward the work might be an attempt to relate with the player at this point in the game. The high-speed train robbery combined with the 2 shooting galleries in the same final mission leaves the player with heavy emotions that they still have not processed by the time they get back on the wagon to deliver the goods to the Gettys. A task which encourages you to take your time because those supplies have physics and can fall out if you're too reckless. It might feel jarring, boring even, but this long delivery trip acts as the emotional landing pad for players still mourning Arthur. Like when a flipbook has extra pages, it gives you time to know that it's over. You're given time to think about where you're going and how this game will make the transition into the first Red Dead Redemption. When John arrives at Mr. Getty's ranch, we have our answer. As soon as he gets there, his wagon is stolen by paid thugs from another nearby ranch, and because he didn't have a choice, John chases them down and returns the supplies with ease. As much as John attempts to live the life that avoids violence, violence keeps finding him, and when it does, he always responds in kind. Same old story, except this time, the aggressive action is actually what secures the Marstons a home at this ranch. Despite the extra mouths to feed, the overseer, Mr. Dickens, is willing to give Jim Milton a chance. Not just for his family's security, but also a chance for John to reform his ways. This is the framing for how John enters the new cabin at Regional Animal Ranch. Oh, no, wait, Pronghorn Ranch. Like before, I've unpacked the meanings of the names of these campsites per chapter, but we finally reached the campsite with a basically meaningless name. Unless... The one thing I found fascinating about pronghorns is the fact that they are from the family Antilocaprati. But unlike their closest cousins on the evolutionary tree, the only surviving species of this family is the pronghorn, the American antelope-esque creature found exclusively in the West. I don't know if this fact was taken into account when naming this new location, but let's consider it anyways. All other relatives are on the path of extinction? Then what is the way out for the Marstons? What if the only way for this family of the West to survive was to go down the path of the pronghorn? Is this kind of evolution possible for them? Well, how hard could it be?
Can't herd, can't swim. Give it a rest, will you?
Turns out he can't do a lot of things.
You fine with milking?
You know, I ain't really done much of it. Could never really get the hang of it.
You serious, mister?
You know much about birthing a foal, Milton?
Not too much.
My God.
Know much about fence building?
Not really.
Can't build a fence, can't milk a cow, ain't used to shoveling shits, but took on a gang of robbers single-handed.
Guess we all got our peculiarities, Mr. Dickens.
Yeah, makes me wonder just who would have robbed you.
And it doesn't help that he flubbed his introductions with the boss.
John, Jim, Milton. Thank you for the opportunity, sir. You and Mr. Dickens.
Well, you work hard. You be honest, you'll get your keep, I promise you that.
Boy has a family.
Oh, lucky man. Then you better work extra hard.
You hear that, John, Jim? Extra hard.
With Mr. Dickens catching on quickly that this new hand who called himself Real Honest is not being real honest, the Overseer is more upfront about his distrust, which compels this, and I'm just being objective here, murderous thief to defend his dignity and right to remain at the ranch.
I was raised to take a man at his word, and also to believe this is a free country. So free that I can't tell you what to think. So I guess it don't much matter what you believe. But I will work hard, and I learn fast.
Okay.
With this air of distrust and the violent tendencies still finding excuses to be unleashed, this first camp in the epilogue felt to me like the halfway house. The place where convicted criminals are moved to teach them right living and hopefully reintroduce them into society. An institution for second chances, albeit with limited liberty. Although John has the freedom to leave and see if those maps really lead to treasure, there's not much incentive or real point in doing so at this time. John wants to prove himself to his new boss, and especially his family. As much as he hates it, John wants to do right by Abigail by doing the crap work, which occasionally is literal.
Look at this horse shit.
Oh, it splashes.
He also tries to raise Jack better, but he's kind of an idiot when it comes to fatherhood. At least he tries. Thing is, these deficiencies would be a lot easier to overcome if it wasn't for the Laramie boys causing so much trouble.
You want to watch your mouth, boy.
Leave him alone. Get out of here.
Oh, Fancy Pants Getty's paying you to be tough for him, huh?
No, he's paying me to keep the place clean.
Oh.
Said he had some problems with vermin.
Get off that man! Get off!
He hit me first.
Oh, stop acting like a goddamn storybook hero, will ya?
What choice did I have?
Plenty, you moron. Plenty.
Even worse for John Jim's familial reputation is when Abel Atherton's thugs assault Pronghorn Ranch and rustle their cattle. John, who didn't have a choice, saves Mr. Dickens from two thugs by being the hired hand who compels them to catch his.
You put him down, all right.
You men okay?
I think so.
Yeah?
Jim Milton saved my life. It's Mr. Abel.
Yeah, of course, it's Mr. Abel. I can't believe he thinks he can scare me out of here.
Then I guess we're getting your cattle back,
I guess
sir.
we are. Can you go too, Tom?
Of course, sir.
All right, Jim. I know you can handle yourself.
A little.
Go get your guns and head out.
Guns?
Oh, don't play coy with me, son. We need your help. I don't care what you used to do or what your name is. This is the land of second chances.
Understood.
Okay.
When John returns to his cabin, he tells Abigail what happened.
What was it?
Mr. Getty's cattle was taken.
I'm sorry to hear that.
She acts as if the civilized thing to do right now is simply to feel sorry for the victim. But John's response is to be the hero she specifically didn't want him to be, finding an excellent excuse to retaliate with brutality, you know, as men do.
Mr. Getty's been real good to us.
What are you doing?
My job, Abigail. My goddamn job.
So John, Jim, with Dickens and Abe, ride out to Hanging Dog Ranch. I uninstall the mod that removes the auto-equipping of two-handed weapons, and Jim Milton rides again. Inside the barn is where the second fistfight with definitely not Stephen Ogg takes place, and the cover art for the first Red Dead Redemption is recreated.
Hey, tell her I'll let her in my seats.
John then sobers up to the mess that he made.
Shit.
Almost like he regrets the adventure his shotgun took him, you know, as men do. Anyways, he returns home with the good news, which according to Abigail is bad news.
What? What? What choice did I have? Just answer me that. What was I supposed to do?
Try as he might, he cannot escape the fight. Even when John is trying to do the most mundane tasks, it still places him in violent scenarios. He can't even pick up the mail without shooting a feller.
Did you kill a fella out in Roanoke a few months back?
No. Wasn't me.
That was my brother.
I'm real sorry, friend, but he was trying to rob me.
You're talking bullshit, mister!
Now, normally, I think this mission might be the more popular option to do first, since Jim Milton rides again feels like a better climactic transition out of this section of the epilogue. But personally, I recommend doing Fatherhood for Idiots as the final mission before the transition, as it makes more sense as a final straw for Abigail.
I've tried everything I know to make you grow up. And you know I love you, but loving you means I can't watch you do this. Time after time, we've had to run because of your behavior and your decisions.
Plus, if you do the male mission first, you'll miss out on this flashback of the sheep and the goats conversation with Arthur.
Look, just do one thing or another. Not be two people at once. That's all I'm saying.
Forget swimming. Going straight is the one thing John cannot do.
I've gone straight.
Oh, bull crap.
No, for real. Well, I'm trying.
It's even in the music. Like, listen, his theme song is dying to come alive again.
Come back here!
He was bound for this Red Dead relapse. Which honestly, that sums up the entire epilogue. But instead of losing his house due to his behavior, John loses his home.
Where's the wife, Milton?
She's out.
I saw her leaving with the boy and the bags. What's going on?
You married, Mr. Dickens?
No.
That don't surprise me.
But instead of leaving...
There's work to be done, unless you're running off too.
I ain't going nowhere. I'm here to work. Gotta save money, get her what she wants.
John stays on to complete his work, his sentence perhaps, a few months later. Before he can prove himself to Abigail, he must prove himself to Pronghorn Ranch. So, after all that beard, how did he do?
Hey, you know, I was wrong about you. Turned into a fine worker, Jim Milton.
Oh, thank you. Means a lot. Hey, you think I could speak with Mr. Geddes? See if maybe he's open to offering me some guidance?
I'm sure he'd be happy to hear you speak, at least.
Thank you, Mr. Dickens.
John Jim earned this reputation, and so he takes a chance on the man who took a chance on him, asking for the means to prove to Abigail that this new reputation as a hardworking man is authentic.
Do you believe a man can change, sir?
Where is this heading?
I guess I don't know. I've tried to be a good hand. I've worked hard to secure your property.
And for that, we are grateful.
And you've paid me well besides. The thing is, I suppose, I need to get a place of my own, so I can prove to my wife that I've changed.
I understand.
But I ain't got much money. I ain't asking to borrow none. But maybe you could go to the bank and put in a good word so they could give me a loan?
A loan, huh?
And how might a loan help with making things right with his wife?
I was reading about a old ranch, Beecher's Hope, down by Blackwater.
Was you?
Well, Jack read it to me, but I thought maybe we could raise some money. Bank could lend us the rest. We could be happy, John.
Bank loans? So I can buy that place, Beecher's Hope?
Yes, I know it.
As best as he can, John commits to this dream. He goes to the bank, clears out the land, signs the papers, and runs into Uncle?
The very same. Come here.
As best as he can, his efforts to be a better man are reflected in the land Abigail planned. The result of this confirmed purchase is a less than ideal idea of a home.
What do you think?
Why exactly did you buy this dump?
For Abigail?
Why? Is she an idiot? No.
The house is garbage. The land is rocky and dry, not the kind of place you'd think to make food in.
What are we going to farm here? Rocks?
And in terms of money, we have no money. But as useless as Uncle has been and still is when it comes to physical labor, he is the sole reason John will succeed with this purchase.
We?
You don't have a hope here without a wise hand at the tiller.
Enough of that. Get out of here. On your way.
No, you're stuck with me. Seems I'm stuck with you. John, the rock farmer.
And these are the conditions of the transition into part 2 of the epilogue, Beecher's Hope, the final part of the entire game. We're halfway through the ending, but even when John buys the land, we still don't have the final home of the homestead. Not even close. Though before we
build a little house together.
I can't ignore the name of this land like I did in the first draft of the script, so glad I didn't forget.
That was close.
No wonder this took so long. Anyways, Beecher is the name of one particularly prominent American family from the 19th century. Lyman Beecher was a highly respected minister, abolitionist, and well-quivered father of 13 children, at least 6 of which made great strides in the same causes he strived for. There was a clergyman, a theologian, and another minister, as well as a teacher, a novelist, and a suffragette, most of whom were also abolitionists and authors in their own right. But the most famous among them is Harriet Beecher Stowe, author of a little book, I don't know if you've heard of it, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Yeah, the book so popular that only the Bible surpassed it in sales that century. This novel, among just a few other things, taking credit for it, is credited to have laid the groundwork for the American Civil War. Now, personally, as an uneducated and worse Northwestern rube, I have not read this novel, but maybe there's something to be said when Uncle sees this cabin, okay, no. But I do think that since the first game, the second most famous Beecher, Henry Ward, is the main source of inspiration for Beecher's Hope. Like I said, most of the memorable Beechers were staunch abolitionists, but Henry is famous for having sent Beecher's Bibles to the front lines of the Bleeding Kansas conflict during the mid to late 1850s. These so-called Bibles were actually rifles, sent as reinforcement for the anti-slavery settlers fighting in the Kansas Territory. All of this should paint a clear enough picture of what Beecher means for this property. It was Beecher's hope that one day all men would be free. Therefore, this property is a place where one day, someone who needs freedom will hopefully find it here. Since Beaver Hollow, the Marstons were on the run, whether it was from the law or from the consequences of John's actions. You might not be getting shot at, but if you're still on the run from the shame of your past, then you're not free. Freedom means settlement. It means honesty with yourself.
Mr. Marston. Only folk around here call me Milton. It's kind of a joke, I guess.
A joke, huh?
Okay, Jim Milton.
It's John Marston here.
And most importantly, freedom means rest. It also means work, but because you now have the freedom to do the good work, something that John gently reminds Uncle of.
If I overdo it, I'll get a relapse. It's very serious.
Get up or get out. Get up!
Ow! I'm getting up. Oh, no, wait, what did I have to tell you?
The old coot then remembers news of an old face.
Charles Smith is alive, I reckon.
Charles Smith alive? Really?
I reckon.
And with no hesitation, they both head out to find him. When they do, Charles Smith is found to have been throwing fights for a few dollars. This reunion, though, gives Charles a good reason to fight to win, and John can place a bet on it, like he already has with the fight for his family's future.
Sure, I'm a fan of the wolf. Give me a bet on him.
Have I got a treat for you? An epic battle between the descendant of ancient warriors and a not-so-noble savage.
Pretend he's Micah.
So they get him out of there, and they ride back to Beecher's Hope.
Hold on.
Which is still a shack in shambles. A fact that doesn't seem to bother John, thinking it only needs a few touch-ups.
The house has gotta go. Get some self-respect, you miserable sack of shit. Build a house a lady'd set foot in.
The place just needs a woman's touch.
It needs leveling. No woman would touch this place.
Without Uncle, John would have had to present this outhouse to Abigail, no doubt leading to another argument over moral impotence. Uncle is therefore the hero of the entire game. But seriously, his insight led them to Charles, who's essential in building the home, as well as defending it both times. The first time along the route from Manzanita Post, and the second when saving Uncle. Uncle was essential for building John's home, and Charles was essential for securing it. Physically, that is. From the latest and still not the final gang John will encounter, the Skinner brothers.
Everyone find some cover! How you hold
Where'd that come from? That the last of them?
I think so. There's more! They got the tools! They grabbed Mr. Wayne!
Charles, I found the tools. Now where's Mr.
All right. Shit.
I thought this kind of bloodshed was meant to be over with.
This kind of bloodshed is different. Folks have been killed, sure. For good reason and bad. But rarely just for the fun of it.
The Skinners are yet another reflection of their past, but this time the three Vanderlyn gang members are now the innocents in this dynamic.
I met a fella said the Skinners rode down about 2 years ago. They're just angry men on a rampage, and we got in their way.
Sort of like we used to be?
Yeah, exactly like we used to be.
The good civilized life is still threatened by the kind of men these men used to be. It turns out the price of this land is more than the bank debt. As evidenced by the last chapter, the life of decent folk is fraught with frequent friction. If the dysentery doesn't get you, the desperados will. So what if John goes after them? This whole time I've failed to mention Sadie Adler, the first friend from the gang that John meets should he respond to her telegram first. In the past some years, she's become the ending of that one episode of Quantum Leap.
She becomes one of the best bounty hunters in the business.
And because of that, Sadie offers a few bounty jobs for John. The first of which is easy peasy. The second, they get the drop on the bounty stealers, but still have to go through a gauntlet of guys with guns. When Uncle comes along to purchase the materials for the barn, Sadie just so happens to be there and just so happens to have another job too dangerous for just herself, even though in practice it's just one man hiding in a barn.
Yeah, that's him.
Ramon Cortez. He's with the Del Lobo gang.
Yeah?
You head back down to where we was, New Austin, you're bound to run into them.
Are they Mexicans?
Some, and some Californios, and some regular Americans too. They're a misfit bunch.
Just like we were.
On this mission, John foreshadows how he will fight his past in the next game. From being an outlaw himself, part of a notorious gang of misfits, to going after another outlaw of another notorious gang of misfits. This irony is probably why John addresses the money Ramon kept offering the bounty hunters, which makes sense given Marston's bounty and how much debt he has to account for.
It's an odd thing, isn't it? We'll take $200 from a sheriff who might be crooked himself to go get a bounty. but we won't take $2,000 from an outlaw just to let him go.
If that kind of offer is tempting to you, then go right ahead.
I never said I was tempted by it. I just said it was an odd thing. How we'd take money from one, but not the other.
I got a reputation for honest work.
So, everyone with a price on their head deserves it, you think?
Sure. No, I don't know, usually.
John is already doing the work that he will do in the year 1911, and weirdly enough, it's for the exact same reason, to secure his family. At Beecher's Hope, John Marston has come full circle. And as viewer Jay Blake pointed out with Beaver Hollow, the Vanderlyn gang started the game in the mountains, going southeast to Horseshoe, more south and more east into Clemens Point, and even more southeast into Shady Belle, then up north to Lake Hay, to way up north to Beaver Hollow, going in a counterclockwise direction. The gang was trying to reverse the clock, to go backwards in time, to a time when they were thriving. But they could not complete the loop. They couldn't make it back to Blackwater. But John made it.
John made it. He's the only one.
He didn't just make it to Blackwater. He made it past Blackwater. He's beyond it. Who knew that the way to get the money back from Blackwater was simply to walk up and ask for some? By proving himself at Pronghorn Ranch and rightly fighting for the land, John Marston secured for his family a half-decent home.
What the hell? You're...
You always did have that fine way with words.
Abigail and Jack return to their provider. He's proven himself, now being able, as the player, to do farming chores that, when the eggs and the milk are placed on the cart, they can be sold for... how much are we getting paid for this?
$8.
Wow. Yeah, see, it's a half-decent house. It's sturdy, but underdecorated. The farm is working, but barely. They're still scraping by, managing to make it all work. Still, John is a better father, and he did do right by Abigail.
So you happy?
I think so.
And I did good?
You did good.
So... am I forgiven?
Never.
Hard woman. Nothing gets forgiven.
Ma! Pa! Come out here!
Sadie.
Sadie Adler finally sees the house and stays for supper, offering John another job.
My husband, he ain't looking for that kind of work.
Took on a lot of debt when we bought this place.
And you're working for her to pay it off?
Yes, sometimes I was.
But I thought we said no more of that.
No, you said that. What else am I gonna do?
This is the other half of the reasons why this home is only half decent. There's still tension between the couple about the kind of work they're willing to conduct.
It's hunting down fools for the government. Easy. Even Jack could do it.
Don't you put those stupid ideas in the boy's head. He's gonna do something better than this.
Like what? Writing silly stories?
I'm sorry, Abigail. Really, I am. I just thought if you wanted to earn some money...
How many times do I gotta bury you, John Marston?
Never. You ain't never burying me. It's legal work that I can handle.
What is it?
Some fella robbed his business. You know, an accountant or something. Came down from Rhodes, I believe.
How much does it pay?
It pays good. The soft ones usually do.
Okay, then.
Now, this should be the easiest bounty to turn in, but it's, ironically, canonically, the one where John was closely survived them.
I think he's gone.
Fucking monster.
You all right, John?
Yeah. Just... we always find a way to almost get killed, don't we?
Mm-hmm. That's kind of the problem.
Each bounty Sadie offered John turned out to be tougher and more dangerous than the last. No matter how well the path of violence makes money, high reward always comes with high risk. It may feel like the path of decency and kindness is unfruitful and unproductive, but a random visit in the day proves otherwise.
It's the Geddes boys.
From Pronghorn Ranch?
Yeah.
Abe and Duncan stop by with a wagon loaded with furniture.
Sir, Ma found some old furniture in the attic. Pa thought maybe you folks wanted as a housewarming present, you know? They send their regards.
How kind they are. Tell your mom and Pa we're very touched.
This is real kind of y'all.
You saved the ranch. Pa said this is the least he could do.
John's loyalty to their family proved his loyalty to his own. He enriched his own house by enriching another household. By being a blessing, he and his family have been blessed. Evidently, the good life pays off.
Evidently.
Which is possibly the driving factor for why John wants to join Abigail in town.
There's still some more things that we need to get.
How about we take a ride into town? It's been ages since we spent any time together.
It has. Let's go get the wagon.
As much as John disagrees with Abigail about how much risk he should be taking, John genuinely loves his wife. So much so, he's willing to make it official. After a photo and a film, John leads his wife to the water.
Let's go down to the lake for a minute.
The lake?
Sure.
Why, you finally gonna drown yourself?
In a manner of speaking, I guess I am. Happily so.
You're acting real strange.
No, I'm not. Come on.
You're a silly man, John Marston. If you're asking something, just ask it.
Will you... Will you marry me?
Get up. I am married to you.
No, I mean proper. In front of God.
You serious?
I got this ring. I've had it for a long time. Take it.
You serious?
It would make me very happy if you would...
We've lived a lot of lives.
Let's just live this one from now on.
I didn't know it mattered to you.
It didn't. But now it does. If you think this is dumb, I'm sorry.
Shut up, you silly man, and kiss me.
John enjoys this joyful moment with his official fiancée, taking the extra step on the one knee to be fully, formally committed to her, their son, and their ranch. The house is finally furnished. The home is finally happy. Or is it?
Deep inside, he missed the dragons almost as much as they gave him nightmares. He and Princess Brea raised 7 happy children, and none of them ever knew that their father had once been the bravest warrior in the world. The end.
One day, John will walk into his house listening to Jack finish the story of Sir Galsworthy, a fabled knight who rescued a princess from a dragon. Soon after, Sadie Adler returns to the ranch with news of another serpent.
I found him. I found Micah.
No.
But I gotta go now. You coming?
No.
Abigail's disapproval is immediate and ignored by John, who insists that he must do this.
Yeah, I'll ride with you.
No, I'm begging you. No! You risk all this? For what? For Micah?
All this wouldn't exist if it weren't for Arthur, Sadie, and all the folks as fell. If I let him go, this place ain't no more real than one of Jack's dragons.
I'm begging you.
And I'm begging you to understand. This is it. This is...
Please.
Please try to... I ain't got no other choice. Keep an eye on the place for me.
Of course.
Please.
Let's go kill this son of a bitch then.
American Venom is the mission that ties everything together. Every theme, every arc, and every connection from the second game to the first game. Beginning with a fantasy tale about settling down after slaying a dragon is quickly demonstrated to be the obvious parallel with Micah Bell. Though before we climb that mountain, let's remind ourselves as to why we're doing this.
There's something else.
What?
Micah.
Micah?
I think so. We always said, if we found him...
I know what we said we'd do. That ain't changed. You said earlier you knew something about Micah. You gonna tell me what you know?
Are you sure you want to hear about him? Ain't all that back at your ranch enough? If I find him, I will handle it.
Your bounties or transport work? That's your decision to bring me along or not. But Micah? That's something I gotta do. With or without you, Sadie. You know what I mean?
Okay. I know.
This is John's own doing. In fact, it is the only mission out of all of them from both games where John Marston does something in the story that he wants to do, without any financial, familial, or governmental incentive and coercion. This is his conviction, his decision. Everything else had some other applicable purpose or excuse behind it, but this time, it's simply because he wants to do it. Visiting Sadie and Valentine came with money promised. Finding Charles, that was Uncle's suggestion. Saving Uncle from Skinner's or Jack from a bear are certainly things he'd want to do, but because those acts are necessary. Even proposing to Abigail, granted, an obvious want, is still a need if he wants to do right by his family. He wants to do those things because he knows that he needs to do them. But he did not need to pursue Micah. There's no money promised, no bounty for Micah's head. There was money later, but that is a surprise, not an incentive. Plus, there is no retaliation to be had, since Micah didn't threaten to come down to do harm to his family. This is purely an act of unimpeded revenge. Though to be fair, Micah does deserve it.
It's not revenge he's after. It's a reckoning.
But is that what Arthur died for?
We owe this to Arthur.
You think Arthur cared about revenge? I'm not so sure, especially not at the end.
He cared about stopping Micah, and that's what we're doing.
Sadie's excuse is what keeps them on their quest to Strawberry, where they find the rat-faced former associate of the rat, Cleet. As a convenience, he's been written to have a justification for these three old friends of his hanging him.
One of his boys wanted for murdering a woman.
Eventually, they eke out the information.
He's up in the mountains. I think he's up in Mount Hagen. You got a whole gang now.
And they go about their nothing business, just personal.
He's done.
Thank you.
The journey takes more than a day to complete. They camp to rest and they keep going until they reach the mountain and Charles is out of the fight. As the remaining pair climb, soon Sadie will be out of the fight, somehow surviving the 7-inch knife wound, leaving John to make his lone assault on the Serpent's lair, slaying wave after wave of anything but a so-called tight crew of 5 or 6 men. Micah had apparently grown past his previous preferences and allowed ego to overtake him like it had with Dutch. John will dispatch these men and descend, down, to the same cabin viewed from the mission, Who the Hell is Leviticus Cornwall? All the way back in Chapter 1, the one where they rob Cornwall's train, an action that was also argued against by the second-in-command, an action insisted upon by the leader.
What choice have we got?
One that, in spite of the monetary gain, led to the ultimate loss of their family structure, because it got the attention of the very same government-funded people they were trying to avoid this entire time. Exactly like American Venom. John Marston returns, relapses, down to the same place he was at the start of the game. Up in them mountains. As everyone knows, a rat scurries by the cabin, and John will turn his back for a second, where the real rat must have quickly slipped out of the door just to make it seem like he appeared from nowhere.
Come on!
Hello, Scarface. Did you miss me?
Not much.
How's that, whore of yours?
She's good. Didn't reckon I should waste my time killing you. But I felt different.
So it seems.
Their brief talk ends with Micah threatening to visit the rest of his family, almost as if his threat all them years ago with Arthur was empty talk then.
After we're done, I'm gonna kill Marston too.
And is serious talk now.
Well, maybe after all this is over, I'll go pay her a call. And the boy.
meaning if John fails, his family will suffer the immediate consequences of Micah. Forget dying. John announcing to the world where his family is are the real stakes here. Stakes that John didn't have to instigate. And, as Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you do take if you're Micah. Throughout the shootout, neither man can overtake the other. But then the fight changes when Sadie somehow shows up, and it changes even more when someone else reveals themselves.
All manner of folk paying social calls.
Hello, son.
Now, what were you saying?
And now